I can't fight. Honestly, I'm just gonna throw that out there. Y'all meet me on the streets. Y'all winning, but we're doing a boxing thing today. So strap in, put your mouth guard in, lace up your gloves, and get ready because we about to knock you out the park. Metaphorically, because as I said, I cannot fight. I am a wuss. I'm just gonna shoot you.
And we don't got any money, so we can't really afford to pay the lawsuit off either. So
yeah,
no.
Here we go. I gotta find my notes. Still dominating the boxing world, Adonis Creed is thriving in his career and family life. When Damien, a childhood friend and former boxing prodigy, resurfaces after serving time in prison, he's eager to prove that he deserves his shot in the ring. The face-off between former friends is more than just a fight. To settle the score, Adonis must put his future on the line to battle Damien, a fighter who has nothing to lose. That was what Google said about Creed 3. Now, if you don't know, now you know. We do a one-sentence review for everything we do. Jason, go ahead and hit us with your one-sentence review for Creed 3. See what I did there? I said it again.
My one-sentence review of Creed 3 is, this is exactly why I don't go to high school reunions.
Damn, I kind of don't want to say mine now. That was clever. My one-sentence review for Creed 3 is, this was a knockout. See? Boxing.
Oh, I get it.
I know things
straight to the point.
All right, Jason, let's go ahead and start the discussion here. I like this way better than Creed 2. It was a chore to get through Creed 2 for me. But I had to see it in order to see Creed 3 because I wouldn't know what's going on. How would I ever know what's going on in here if I didn't see Creed?
Who's that little girl? Yeah.
But I know how you don't really like Michael B. Jordan as a person or as an actor. I don't know if you have beef with him.
Oh, you're not gonna do this. Don't put me in the same box with Joe Budden unless it's about income. Then I want to be in the same box with Joe Budden. Don't do that to me. but continue.
This is his directorial debut. This is the first movie he's ever directed, and I think he might need a career change, man. I think he did a really well job directing this movie. Really good job directing this movie. And he has said in many interviews that he took some inspiration from anime and these fight scenes, and you can definitely tell that there is an anime influence, and it makes it. And I know you said this when we were finished watching the movie. It gives it a whole nother style other than any other Rocky movie that has preceded it, and it's for the better, in my opinion, because watching Creed 2, I was like, this shit is boring. And this one, I'm like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Only thing I had to push back on the general aesthetics of the movie is at the end where they're wearing the white trunks and the boxing gloves and the black trunks and the black boxing gloves. All right, that's on the nose. It's good side versus evil. That's on the nose. But other than that, I was really enjoying this movie. It was fun. It was, and here. I'm just gonna keep it 100. Anything that Jonathan Majors is in,
I
was
waiting for it. I was waiting for you. Go ahead.
I'm just gonna throw this out here. I'm gonna be completely impartial, or not impartial, completely partial when it comes to Jonathan Majors. And once again, he comes in and turns out a fantastic performance that is just it seems like he's in a different movie than everybody else and everything that he's in. He's just he just elevates it so much. And his Damien or Dame, as they call him throughout the movie.
Right.
For most of it, you were oh, he's just an earnest, honest dude. And then you're like, oh no, he planned this, but still it's like he brings a lot of emotion to that character. He brings a lot of, I keep saying the word pathos like I know what it means, but pathos to the character.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Just kind of rewinding to go forward. So the characterizations were really, really good in this. From Creed, from Adonis, how he's playing Creed at this point, from Tessa Thompson. She
Thompson's great.
Gives a moment, when it's the decision where he has to fight and she's talking I even turned to Alex at the time, and I was like, "This chick is acting her ass off in this movie."
Me and
And I
Jared
want to
thought you were talking
clarify.
shit.
Yeah, I'm gonna clarify my beef with Michael B. Jordan. It's not that I don't like the guy. I think he's probably a wonderful human being, and I think he's a great guy. I think it is some stiffness with his acting that it's hard for me to shake. In this movie, it really encompassed that because you get Jonathan Majors, and I'm about to eat some crow on him too, and we'll do that near the end too. But you get Jonathan Majors and his mannerisms of how he plays Dame from a guy who's been in prison his whole life is like on the nose. I mean, the fidgetiness, the looking over your shoulder all the time, the hovering over your food to eat. It is a lot of things that, like, I've known people who've been in jail for a long time that exhibit these attitudes, those mannerisms, and those functions. I thought was really good.
Even to the way
Felicia
he
Rashad,
speaks, kind of too. Like,
yeah, absolutely. Felicia Rashad, I mean, she got to be in more stuff, but I understand you got to mold the black youth, so I get it.
time out.
All right.
Felicia Rashad is one of the greatest actresses of all time. I don't
Yes.
understand. I do understand because she is molding future actors and young minds right now. But like, y'all need to put her in more stuff. Like, seriously, like more movies. I mean, like when we talk about the greatest black female actors, you know, I feel like a lot of people don't really speak on Felicia Rashad, but like, damn, we messed up. Like, or maybe she doesn't want to be an actor. I mean, maybe she wants to just, but like, seriously, like, she shines in this movie. She shines in this movie.
Right. And I know she's in a different age that people want to name, but when I think of like Felicia Rashad, I think of like the Lena Hornes, the Debbie Allens. Sorry, I lost my train of thought on one. But like that group of women that were in that time. Yeah, there's Eartha Kitt. That's what I was thinking about. When we were growing up, there was these prominent black women actors that just commanded the screen. I mean, yes. So, but yeah, she's felt amazing in this. They finally give her something to do. They give her some emotion that she can display, and just beautiful. I loved it. Even down to the daughter, who I think is actually really deaf in real life.
She's actually deaf in real life. Yeah.
She does a phenomenal job on it. So the acting was great. The story was very intriguing. Now, again, it's a Rocky movie. It's going to be very paint by numbers, but Rocky's always been about the emotion and the characterizations. And that's why the stories have always been shallow. Like I look at Rocky 3, which we'll talk about later on. The stories have always been shallow because they want you to invest in the characters and not be trying to keep up with the story beats. Even so much simple that I think one of the biggest gripes I have with the movie is because it's so simplistic that something major happens and they just brush it off. Like Dame said a hit on a man.
Yeah.
He should go to prison. They brushed that off like that was nothing to worry about. Like that was just, that sucked that he did that. Now we got to fight him. Like, hold on.
Like, why don't you just call the cops and let them deal with it?
Right. But they do it in service of just keeping the story simple so we can keep moving along. But it bothered me through the whole movie that like, it's kind of hard to hit. And he's talking about it.
The one thing that also really bothered me about this movie, but it really kind of bothers me about the whole Creed franchise, is Adonis never loses. And like, when you're talking about a man, and he lost in the first movie once or twice.
I thought he lost in the second one too, because that's how he
he got knocked out, but Drago was disqualified.
Oh, gotcha.
So he didn't lose. Okay. He just got beat up.
Gotcha.
And I feel like, especially when you have a person who literally has nothing, right? Who comes out of prison with nothing, and you have another person who has everything. Like, he's had the career he was going to have. He's got fame, fortune, good family. Like, he's never knocked down a peg, right? Like, he's never, like, in this movie, like, I feel like the reason why they were able to do all this emotional stuff at the end is because Creed comes out on top. Spoiler alert.
Well, I feel like we got to preface this too, that I do feel like, and you know how this stuff goes. If Creed 1 and 2, he was getting the brakes beat off of him like Rocky did and came back and won, a lot of the put your fist in the air, brothers would have been, oh, this brother be just getting knocked out by everybody. He can't even, like, that would have been the narrative. Like, oh, he can't even squabble. He getting fucked up. So I kind of feel like, I hate to say this, I kind of feel like that's been in Michael B. Jordan's mind in his movies. Like, look, I can take some L's, but I can't take a major L like Rocky did. Like, they gonna get on me, man.
Thing. He could have lost and still and been like in Rocky, Rocky 1 or in Creed 1, where he loses but still gains respect, where he doesn't get beat up, right? And also, because here's the thing in this movie, when he goes to fight Dame, because that's what's going to happen, guys. We know how these movies work. They're saying that Dame is the favorite, and that doesn't make any damn sense to me. He is a 1-0 fighter fighting the heavyweight champion, retired. He's retired, but he's only been retired for like 3 years, right? And he's beaten everybody else. All right. So no, Dame, who is 1-0, is not the champ, or not the favorite. I literally the next day after watching this movie saw a guy who had been retired for 3 years go up a weight class and beat the brakes off the dude who's supposed to be the man. All right. Don't give me this. Oh, he's an underdog when he's a multi-millionaire boxing phenom.
Right.
Like, why are we doing this right here? But I do like how this movie definitely deals with toxic masculinity, men's emotional health and emotional well-being, and also with all that, they fight. Right.
With all that being said, you still got it. You got it out the same way every nigga in the hood get it out. Knocking somebody's brains out.
Go talk about it, but still go square up on that dude over there real quick.
Right. So, but I was gonna say that too. I do feel like in this movie they do a great job of putting the Black women in roles that are very empowering, but also very supportive. And I say this in a sense because I've been really adamant about we don't ever see good, positive Black couples in Hollywood movies. And even if you want to make a comment of like Adonis holding his emotions was a bit toxic, the point that Tessa was never like, I'm just going to leave if you don't want, like, it was never that. Right. It was her like being supportive, even though she knew that he wasn't really trying to give it up and wasn't trying to really get into it. She still supported him, but also knew that her trying to get him to talk about it was the best thing that she could do for him. And that was a very, very good thing. Even Felicia Rashad, like keeping Dame away from Adonis, even though when we go further and a little bit further, I have issues with that too. But her doing that was like her being a mother and being like, I need him to leave that street side alone by every means possible to get him on the right path so he can be a success and blah, blah, blah. That brings me to my point. The movie doesn't, because it's in service of trying to move so quickly, the movie doesn't do a really good job of speaking to what made Dame such a bad guy, because everything we saw up until the heel turn, quote unquote, he took up for Adonis. He like pulled the gat because he was like, nah, you ain't gonna do my mans like that. Like he was respectful, he was cordial, he was like, like
I don't understand how he got 18 years for pulling a gun on a dude.
They mentioned that he was out and got back in. Like they did make a mention that he did get out because they were in the group home together, and then like
they were in the group home together when they were kids.
Right. I'm saying they said he got out, and then he makes a comment about being out. Like he was like, "Oh, I got out again." Like this, like it's in the movie that he makes a comment. This wasn't like 18 years by itself. It was something in between. So
either way, like I know, maybe it's just me, and I just like, man, Dame should totally beat Adonis's ass. And like I get it, he mad.
But I didn't like that. I didn't like that they kind of just heel turned him for the movie, which is fine. It's a Rocky movie. Okay, we get it. Now goes to your point that you mentioned to me earlier. I think the hardest thing about this movie is that everything I liked about this movie is everything I hated about this movie.
Exactly.
And people were like, that's insane. And I'm like, well, it's not, because I hate to say this, when you go into these movies, you have a certain expectation of what's going to happen. You know it's going to be a montage. You know the hero's going to figure out a way to pull it out at the beginning, beat up pretty badly. And you know it's always going to be some emotional scene between the main person and the woman, or his love of his life. And so it's just some paint by number stuff in Rocky. they hit all those notes, but like you mentioned before, Michael B. Jordan's camera work and how he shoots the fights and how he shot everything was brilliant. The problem is it did not feel like Rocky. And for it being the third entry into just this spinoff, it felt sometimes it took me out because it was so beautiful. It was like, oh, I'm not even caring about the fight. I'm just engulfed in what's going on around. The other part too that I think I hated, that I think is a trope in Rocky that they should have kept in, that they took out, was you get a point during the fight where it's just where the rounds just start flowing through, and they just show a little bit of boxing, and they have like the round lady holding up the numbers as it goes through, so you know that it's a progression in the fight. This one, it kind of was like first round, second round, do this fancy stuff, 12th round. And I was like, I think all of us were like, 24th round. Like, we were like,
it's only been 3 minutes.
Right. Anyway, that's what I said. So like all the stuff in here I liked, I thought was so dope. If this would have been the first one and all this would have been in here, I'd have been head over heels. But then like even like the punch that knocked the sweat off his back was so great. But we had seen nothing like this in Rocky or in the first two Creeds.
Or the double punch where they punch each other at the same time.
Right. Which is complete utter anime right there. That's complete utter anime.
Right out of Dragon Ball Z. Any other shonen.
Yeah. Even Baku, they had a scene like that. And that was like, anyway, so it just, like it made me feel like this wasn't a Rocky anymore. But to the degree, this was the first movie that didn't have Rocky, and it was the first movie that I felt like was Creed's movie. Like it didn't have any tails, it didn't have any connections to Rocky. It literally was just, this is his story. So I respected that. But again, I'm here for it, man. I can't. I think that's a nitpick. I think it's nitpicky for me. That's
the elephant in the room, the absence of Sylvester Stallone in this. I know the reason why Sylvester Stallone isn't in this movie is because he has some long-seating animosity with a producer of the movie, not with Michael B. Jordan or anybody else, but with someone who actually owns the rights to Rocky, even though it's all come from Sylvester Stallone's writing and directing.
Yeah,
but a producer owns right. I felt his absence, honestly. Even though this was like 100% Creed's movie, Adonis's movie, it was kind of strange to me that he's going to go fight this huge antagonist in his life without Rocky. And it was like, don't even call him to be like, yo, Unc, what's up?
Or even that moment, I think the moment could have been, remember they sell the initial fight to be like, oh, this is going to be like the Rocky story again, this underdog coming from nowhere. I think him going to Rocky to have that conversation about fighting a guy who has nothing to lose, a la how Rocky was in 1.
What is that? Clubber Lane was in 3.
Right. Yeah, facts. But yeah, having that conversation, I think, would have been a nice touch. Even if you'd been like, hey, look, I'm still going to go with Doc in my corner, and I know you retired, I know you don't want a piece of this, but like, I just need to know, like, what is that like? When you have nothing else, and you like, and that kind of could have gave Rocky his little moment to speech and blah blah blah. But did I feel like I missed him in the movie? No. I know you felt that way. I didn't feel that way. I did feel like there was a looming, though. I agree with that. Like it felt like if we didn't know the behind the scenes stuff and I would have walked into it without knowing that, I would have been waiting in the movie to when he would have had a cameo. I agree with that.
Where's the guy whose movie this is?
Right. Or was. Like I'd have been looking for it. But with that even being said, I think that's part of the brilliance of this movie to a degree, that you're a spinoff of a beloved character. This dude has a statue in Philly. He was a fake human being.
Legitimate statue.
And he's a beloved guy. And you're able to do a spinoff, the third one of the series, and still pull this off and not make people forget about Rocky, but also showed their appreciation and respect, but also made it something new. Only if Rian Johnson could have figured this out for The Last Jedi, maybe the third other trilogy would have been better.
Well, maybe if he'd done the last two, it would have been good. But you had to go back to old JJ, who's like, "Fuck all this mystery box. What's in the box? I don't know. Do you know? I don't know. I don't know at all."
Poor writing, aka poor writing. Anyway, tangent.
The worst part about The Last Jedi is Rise of Skywalker. Let's just go ahead and throw that out there.
Yes, call it. Yes, facts. And I think the last part in there I have about the movie in the notes I had was that I do feel like Ed Harris. Yeah, his name Ed Harris. Wire, the trainer.
Yeah,
or Ed Wood, or
Wood Harris.
Yeah, Wood
Ed
Harris.
Harris is a
Yes,
white
yes,
guy.
yes. Yeah, you are correct.
Ed
Which
Harris wasn't in this
also,
movie.
side note, it was like no white people in this movie, which I thought was amazing. Anyway,
Drago was in this movie for a minute.
Yeah, and the guy that's the cut guy that Apollo had.
Stitches.
Yeah,
Stitch is
yeah,
Hispanic.
Was he?
He's Hispanic. I'm 95% sure he's Hispanic.
Oh,
but that doesn't mean you can't be white and Hispanic. I'm just saying that
yes,
he is
Venezuelan. Anyway, so I think I lost the lead on that one.
But Drago's white. He's from Russia or Ukraine or wherever. That's white.
Damn, I forgot what I was going to say next because I just got on the white man thing. See how white people do this? You see how colonization does? It got in my brain.
It's just it affects your brain. You can't think of nothing else.
Say.
Like
so I'm just going to defer to you so I can remember what I was going to say. So go ahead.
I don't have nothing to say besides the fact that this movie was great. Oh, I do have something to say.
No, there you go.
You know how sometimes movies end and you're like, oh, that was nice and sweet. But then you like think about them like, oh, this didn't end well for everybody. Like, Dame is definitely going to go back to prison. He's definitely not going to box again. Like, this didn't end well for him. Like, because like he got all this hype, right? For beating the world champion with no professional fights, 1-0. And then the guy comes back and beats his ass. Well, not beats his ass. No, he locks him out. Beats his ass.
Yeah, he knocks him out.
He ain't never gonna get. He's an older person, so he's never gonna get another fight again. And
you don't think so?
No, that's not how it works. He might do some charity stuff, but
I beg to differ only because the initial champion that he did beat, I feel like they need to have at least a rematch. And I'm assuming that Donnie's going to forfeit the titles, so the title's going to be up for now. Someone to fight for. Like, I feel like he can make a good argument to say my name should be thrown in the hat to fight someone to at least get a chance to fight the title for the title.
Yeah, but but Dame is not going to be in that conversation. They're gonna because firstly it was supposed to be Drago and the other dude anyway.
Facts.
So he got to go and fight at least if he bounces back from this, he's got to fight Drago or the dude that he beat the first time. Right. And these are professional fighters. You might have beaten me once. With your tricks, your dirty tricks, you ain't gonna beat me again.
Right.
And then he hasn't even fought Drago. And Drago nearly murdered Creed. Like nearly killed him. So it's just like if Adonis or no reporter finds out that he went to jail with the guy that broke the dude's hand and doesn't put 2 and 2 together, and he doesn't go back to prison, like he's a 1-on-1 fighter. Like, come on, they're not going to give him another shot. They're just going to. He's just unless Adonis throws him more bones. And, you're the only. I vacated. I had to beat your ass. Does know who the man is? You my bitch. But now you fight for me. Go out there and make me some money.
Oh, there it is, Harris Wood. I just want to give him his flowers. That's what I was trying to get to. That was the point I was making.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, he's really
I want to
good
give him his flowers. Because he's been good in a lot of things, and I think we never give him that respect. But they definitely beefed up his role in this one because he did kind of almost play the Rocky-esque role in this one to a degree. Yes. And he shows out. He does a great job on here, and I think he deserves a lot of respect. And shout out to Michael B. Jordan making sure that role was made for him to actually have more influence in this movie. So,
yeah, 100%. He definitely had more to do in this last movie than he did in the other 2 movies, but he definitely took the ball and ran with it, or took the basketball and shoot it through the hoop. I don't know sports.
And he was a hater like Mickey, but he wasn't as bad as Mickey. He still was like, nah, bro, you ain't got this under control.
I still am under the belief that most of the people that these fighters have around them are bums. Like, because the last movie they're like, you can't fight this guy. It's like, what do you mean I can't fight this guy? That's my job. Like in Rocky 3, Mickey's like, I don't want you to do it. He's like, how am I going to feed my kids, Mick?
He's a bum. I don't want nothing to do with them.
Like, this is my job, but like I can't like be afraid of people, especially if they're coming up. I gotta fight whoever comes my way.
Also,
Like,
outside of maybe Mickey feeling like Clubber Lang could just whoop Rocky, what else was wrong with Clubber except for him just being black? Like, we didn't. You think about Clubber Lang, it was like, I guess we gotta say that for the Rocky 3 review.
Let's get into this after. Let's do our rating for this movie. Let's get into that because I got some things to say about this movie.
Okay, let's get into the ratings. All right, rating system. All right. Let's roll.
Okay, let's go with our. If you don't know, now you know. For everything we do, we give it a rating system. We think something is good, we give it a head. If we think something is mid, we give it a cannon. If we think something is garbage, we give it a circus. I think that's how the rating system works.
Yes.
All right,
yes.
Jason. All around performances, how would you rate this movie?
This is getting some head. I was getting some head. Yeah, it's great performances.
I would also second that. The performances. Jonathan Majors is a national treasure, people. Like,
that brings me to Jonathan Majors' point real quick, because I know a couple of shows ago, a while back, I made a comment that like I feel like everything that Jonathan Majors is in, other people outperform him. I would take that back because his Kang performance was the best thing about Ant-Man and Wasp, and Diamond Dame was the best thing about Creed 3. Mm-hmm. So that Jonathan Majors and Jason, you made the point that maybe it was written that way, and I tried to refute that. But looking at these performances, it makes me feel like, okay, yes, he's probably right. Maybe those roles were written that way.
For Lovecraft Country?
He said wasn't the best thing in Lovecraft Country. You know,
yeah, because Bernie Smith is in that, and she's just beautiful and awesome. And of course,
okay.
And then also,
point, but still,
also he's surrounded by freaking greats too, man. He got Courtney Vance and Michael K. Williams before he died. Like, come on, he was fresh out of college when he did that. All right, and
I'm not saying it's not a reason for what he was. I'm just saying how I felt about his performances. Yes, shame.
Let's go with the overall story on this when I'm rating from canon to head or head to canon to circus, whatever we do. Jason, what would you rate the story of this here movie?
The story on this one, I'm probably going to go a circus on it because it is paint by numbers. Not saying I didn't enjoy it. It just no one's going to come out of this being like, man, they really did a number on how they did Rocky. Like,
they really reviewed the story formula on this one. I'm going to say it's a canon. As you said, is paint by numbers in it, but I still pretty much was engrossed in the story in this. Now, this is a boxing movie, so we got to say, how are the fight scenes in this? Given from a,
I'm gonna go canon. They're nicely choreographed, but I think it does leave a little bit of the realism of boxing out. Because I'll give that for Rocky, and we know that from the behind the scenes. Look, Rocky actually was taking some of these hits.
No, time out. We ain't gonna do this. There's no realism in any of these Rocky movies. All right.
I'm talking about as in it is legitimately documented that Rocky was getting punched in the face to get these shots. I know that Michael B. Jordan wasn't getting punched in the face, but he's moving.
And got knocked out.
In this movie, I'm saying he did not. He's not getting punched in the face for this one. And even he admitted that these fights were inspired by anime, which literally is the most exuberant, outlandish form of fighting that you're ever going to get to watch.
I've seen these Rocky movies, and they are throwing haymakers. No one's fainting. No one's setting up no jabs. No one's even freaking blocking. They're just taking punches in the face like it's hard as they can.
It's the 80s, baby. We're tough guys in the 80s. What are you talking about? No, have you not seen a Hitman and Sugar Ray? They just got them in the ring and started punching each other
in those fights. All right, let's go to our overall review. If we go from 1, it's straight garbage. It's stinky buttholes, and this 5 is the best thing we've ever seen ever of all time. It's the greatest movie we'll ever see. And these numbers do not correlate to one another whatsoever.
Thanks in your head.
Rent free. Jason, what would you rate this movie from 1 to 5?
I'm gonna give it a 3.8.
Jesus, that's too low. I'm gonna give it a 4.5. You're a terrible human being, Jason. Why do you hate black people so much?
Somebody got to do it on the show, brother. Somebody got to do it. It helps the algorithm. See.
Yeah. We have our own Candace Owens.
White people weren't the only ones that had slaves.
Yeah. Didn't you know black people bought slaves too?
Yeah. They had to buy them from somebody. Yeah. See, other end of the algorithm, baby.
I mean, that's why we didn't watch The Women King, because they were slavery. It's not us pure innocent white folk.
Yeah. Like not us.
Not
Yes,
us. I didn't do
especially
it.
not us. I feel like we would not be getting this stuff off if Lisa was on the show today.
Oh no.
Okay.
She's spending time with her family, so that's why she's not here. And that's why we don't have anybody watching right now, because she's the reason why people watch. They don't want to watch two ugly ass dudes. They want to watch lady talk about things. So if you're missing Lisa, she'll be back next week, hopefully. Or never again. Maybe it'll be Jaren. Maybe we'll bring back Jaren. Maybe we'll bring in Alex. Maybe we'll bring in another strange person who we haven't even met yet. No,
that lacks melanin, because we got to make sure.
Yeah, we got to bring in one white person, because it can't be too black.
We'll get canceled. So
we haven't got canceled already. It's hard to get canceled.
Maybe that's why nobody's watching, because we're canceled and we just don't know it. Nobody gave us a notice.
It's hard to get canceled if you were never started in the first place.